Hi there, and welcome to our podcast, Friends Across Borders, in which we talk about intercultural differences by telling our own stories and experiences and invite guests from all over the world. We are your hosts, Amanda and
Tiong?
this is our very first episode with a guest. So today we invited a special guest from Hungary. Please, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes, so hello everyone, and firstly, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I'm so excited to be here. And my name is Orsi, I'm from Hungary, and I did my master's in Maastricht, so that's how I know Amanda, and that's why I'm on the podcast today, because she very kindly invited me on.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And what is the topic that you chose to talk about today, Orsi?
So today we are actually going to be chatting about food and cuisine, national cuisines, which I'm so excited about because I love me some Hungarian traditional cuisine. So we are going to be talking about that, and hopefully it will be a fun episode.
Yeah, I'm so excited to
Nice.
talk
Who
about
doesn't
the
love
topic.
food?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly,
I know
we all
absolutely
do.
nothing about Hungarian food, so I'm excited to learn some nice dishes to try.
Same for me about South Korean food. I mean, obviously I've had a bit of opportunity to kind of like learn a bit more about Dutch food and Dutch cuisine, but still, I'm sure there's a lot more to learn. So I'm very excited also to hear about that.
And something we decided to ask every one of our guests at the beginning of our episode is to bring a special word, preferably a word that is untranslatable to other languages or to English, because I think there are many words that are so difficult to translate. So what did you bring for us today, Orsi?
Okay, so what I thought I would bring is, okay, I'm going to pronounce it first and then I'll explain a bit later. So basically it's katonadolog.
Cotonadolo.
Katonadolog. Oh,
Katonadolog?
that pronunciation is amazing. Yes, katonadolog.
Ooh, cotonadolo.
Katonadolog. Katonadolog. Exactly. So this is more of an expression, I think, than a word. But basically, I'm going to talk just very briefly about how we use it and sort of like in a sentence. So for example, when a child falls, then the parents will go, oh, katonadolog. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
So it's kind of like, it's a way of saying, oh, don't worry about it. If you've fallen, it's fine. If you haven't hurt yourself, it's fine. Don't worry about it. There's no need to cry. There's no need to worry about it. It's fine. Katonadolog.
Oh.
Basically, that's what it means. That's
Interesting.
how we use it.
It has such a nice meaning.
Yeah. Is it only used in these kind of situations, or can I also use it to just say in general, like, oh, don't worry about it?
I think it's mostly used for kids. I'm trying to think if I've ever used it. Maybe yes, I think you can. Like, people wouldn't be surprised. I think if you used it
Okay.
just in general to say like, oh, don't worry about it, and you just said, oh, katonadolog, I don't think people would be taken aback. But we mostly use it in the context of like kids hurting themselves or that sort of thing. I would say,
Okay.
but you can still use it in other contexts, and it basically just means like it's no big deal.
Oh, it's no big
So
deal.
now, or
Yeah,
or
it's like
listeners
don't
know
worry,
what
like
to
it's no
say,
big deal.
or listeners
Yeah,
now know
exactly.
what to say if they see a
Katonadolog.
child fall on the street in Hungary.
Yeah, exactly. Katonadolog.
Katonadolog. It's the first I ever learned in Hungarian.
Me too.
There we go.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a cute word as well.
Yeah, thank you for teaching us and our listeners.
Yeah, very good to know.
So yeah, let's go straight into the food. I'm getting hungry already.
I know because it's lunchtime as well. So
Right. Yeah. After this, I'm gonna eat a lot of lunch.
You'll be so
Oh,
hungry.
same.
Hungarian food. I think we thought of a lot of different questions, right, Young?
Oh yeah, we have a lot. Not just for Hungarian food,
Oh,
but I
okay.
have some
Yes,
questions about Dutch,
just
and she has
in
some
general.
for Korean food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Okay.
Young, you wanna start the topic with a question that you had all this time about Hungarian food?
Yeah. So Hungarian food, the only food, the only food I know and I had before is goulash.
Yes.
Am I pronouncing
Yes.
well?
So it's actually pronounced guyash.
Goulash.
Goulash.
Guyash, yeah, exactly. Your pronunciation is amazing.
Thank
to be
you.
honest, it's actually really good. I mean, obviously you're a language teacher, so but it's really good.
Goulash. Okay.
Guyash, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And okay, so I'm going to can I just throw a question back at you? Because there's a really common misconception about guyash. So I don't know what you had. Was that more of a main dish, like a stew consistency, or was it a soup? If you remember,
It was a main dish, and then I had it in
Okay.
Czech. So
Okay,
maybe
you had it in Czech Republic.
right. So maybe it wasn't that really like authentic goulash.
Yes, because that's what I was going to say. I think that's a very, very common misconception that basically everywhere else, apart from Hungary, like abroad, wherever that may be, Western European countries, or even the Czech Republic, they say guyash, but they actually refer to stew. But for us, guyash is a soup. So it's not a main dish, it's a soup.
Oh.
Oh.
So if you want to have guyash in Hungary, you'll get a soup.
I see. That's
Yeah, so it's
definitely
not
different
it's,
then.
it's yeah, yeah. And I always see sort of in Christmas markets as well in England, they always sell guyash, and I'm like, that's not guyash, that's stew, because guyash is a soup.
So
Oh,
So I just
Young,
wanted
you
to- I
had
just
fake
wanted to clear-
goulash.
I had a fake one. So
No, I think that's very common. That's very common everywhere outside Hungary. I think it's very common, and that's why I just wanted to very quickly clear that up
Make
for all our
sure,
listeners.
yeah.
That if you ever come to Hungary, and if you want to eat some guyash, just expect soup because it's not a main dish.
So, if it's a soup, is it considered more like a winter food? And also, one to ask, how often do you eat it? Because it's so famous.
I know, that's a really interesting question, because I think from what I've heard from other people, even if they do eat soup in other countries, because I know that in the Netherlands, for example, or France, like people do eat soup, but not really that often. I don't think it's as much of a part of the culture and sort of like food identity as it is in Hungary. And they usually eat soup in wintertime, whereas we eat soup all year round. So even guyash, for example, you can eat it in summer, and even like in the summer in sort of restaurants when they do like set menus, you do get guyash quite often. So even if it's hot outside, you can eat it, but it's more common to eat it sort of like autumn, winter time, or basically when it's not really that sort of boiling hot. I mean, weather-wise, but still you can eat it all year round. It's very traditional. And also to respond to your other question, I know it's really famous, but we actually don't eat it. Like, I don't think in households you really eat it that much. It's not that common. Like, if you go to a restaurant, yes. And even at home, sometimes my mum makes it. I don't personally like it, actually. So that's a fun fact. I personally really don't like it. But that's just me. But my dad's absolutely obsessed, for example. So my mum makes it sometimes, but not as much as just traditional meat soup. So chicken meat soup is the best thing ever. And you eat it very often. So that's very traditional. Like pretty much every week, I would say, for Sunday lunch, it starts with chicken meat soup, not with guyash. Like, we don't really eat it that often. So
I see.
Okay.
Oh,
What is in it exactly, goulash?
in guyash, so it's beef. So you've got beef in it, and then you cut the beef into sort of like I want to say squares, but I know that's not what it's called in sort of like actual sort of cooking. But anyway, so you cut it and then into pieces, and then you've got paprika, you've got onions, you've got the meat, you've got potatoes, you've got trying to think, maybe other vegetables as well, and then you eat it with bread.
Okay. Sounds nice, except for the beef, because
It's
I'm
very-
vegetarian, but...
I know. That's the other thing. We eat very, very meat heavy. Like, our cuisine is incredibly meat
Right,
heavy.
I wanted to ask, are there, like, vegetarian or vegan options? Because I read, when I googled on Hungarian food, there is a dish even called meat stuffed with meats. That's what I read somewhere. I don't
I'm trying
remember
to
the
think what that
Hungarian
could
name,
be.
but...
Yeah, but if we don't really. Wasn't that an actual food? Because we do have a saying that we eat meat with meat.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Like, we do
I
say
don't-
that. We do say that. Like,
I'm not
like
sure.
Hungarian cuisine, like, we eat meat with meat.
Wow.
It's a saying. I
Yeah.
don't think we do eat stuffed meat, but then we don't stuff it with meat. Like, we stuff the meat, but it's not with meat that we stuff it, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
But you do eat meat with meat.
We do. It's an actual saying. It's an actual saying that we eat meat with meat. Like, it's
Wow.
true. It's very true.
So I guess there
Um,
are not many vegetarians or vegans
We
in
d-
Hungary.
Actually, I think vegans, it's definitely sort of like, it's starting up, I would say. I don't want to say it's a trend, but it is a bit of a trend. I think it has become a bit of a trend. But there are not that many options. Like, I think most people who eat vegan, okay, I don't want to generalize, and I don't know any statistics, so I don't have any scientific data to back this up. So just sort of like off the top of my head, maybe I would say most people who eat vegan would have some sort of intolerance. And that's the reason, some sort of food intolerance. So either to dairy,
see.
mostly to dairy, because it's very common to have dairy intolerance, or even to eggs, or just, meal, usually dairy products, I think. If people are intolerant to that, then they will go vegan-ish. So I went off dairy actually for a year and a half. I was completely dairy free because I thought that I had dairy intolerance, and I think I do have a mild case of dairy intolerance, but it's not that bad. It used to be worse. So I went completely off dairy, and it was actually really hard to find dairy free alternatives, because also we eat a lot of dairy as well. We've got dairy products that they don't exist anywhere else outside Hungary, and we use them pretty much in every single dish. So that makes it really hard. For example, for me, when I was in the Netherlands or anywhere else abroad, it makes it really hard to cook authentic Hungarian food, because you just can't find the ingredients.
What are you missing then? What kind of products?
So, for example, we've got this sour cream type thing that's called tejföl.
Okay.
And it's I would say it's thicker than sour cream, but it's sour, so it kind of has the same purpose when you put it in food. But we use it in, I would say, pretty much every food. Like, we put it on meat, we put it on pasta, we put it on just everything, basically just everything. Like, we use it a lot. And there is actually, funnily enough, there's a vegan alternative in Hungary, but obviously only in Hungary, because
Wow.
people don't know this sour cream type thing anywhere else outside Hungary. So, but in Hungary there is a vegan alternative for it, which comes in really handy. But so that's what we use, for example, and you can't get that. Sometimes maybe in Polish stores. I think you would be able to find it. Like, I know in England, for example, there are a lot of Polish sort of supermarkets and just Polish food stores, and then you would be able to get it, but it's incredibly overpriced. Like, it's actually eye-wateringly overpriced there. So
Yeah, because it's an
not
export
really, it's not
product.
really worth it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not really worth, I think, getting it. So you just kind of like substitute it with I would substitute it with yogurt or cooking cream maybe, but it just won't taste the same. It's really not the same taste. So you can't really replicate Hungarian food, I think, abroad because you just don't have the ingredients for it. Yeah.
But while you were in the Netherlands, did you eat vegan then? Because in the Netherlands, there is, I think, a lot of vegan options.
I did. I was pretty much completely dairy free in the Netherlands. It was heaven. I loved it. There were just so many vegan options. All sorts of, even because I used to get Aldi's own almond milk, so it was like Aldi's own product. And it tasted like
that's a supermarket in the Netherlands, by the way.
It's a supermarket in the Netherlands.
Yes.
It's also present in Hungary, and I think also in a couple more European countries. And Aldi's own almond milk was great. It was great.
Okay.
So even though it wasn't like Alpro, because exactly. So if you're ever in Aldi, try it because it's really nice. And also Aldi's own, Aldi's own plant-based milks were actually quite good, I would say.
Okay.
But in the Netherlands there are a lot of vegan options.
Yeah, I don't eat vegan. Well, sometimes I do when I happen to buy something like vegetarian and it says like, oh, this is a vegan product. I'm like, oh, I'm eating vegan today. But yeah, in Dutch supermarkets, we have a lot of vegan and vegetarian options. Like we have rows filled with like meat replacements that also taste like meat but are actually vegetarian. And you have different options, like not only veggie burgers, but also like sausages, things that actually taste like sausages. And there's so many products. I have years of experience. But that's something I really like about the Netherlands, and something I will always miss the most when I travel abroad. The food options in the Netherlands. Yeah. What about South Korea? Are there some vegan and vegetarian options?
It would be very hard if you are eating outside. It's in a restaurant. But there's there's something called temple food, because monks, they don't eat meat. So you have a lot of choices of vegetables, and then we have a bunch of recipes how to make good food with those vegetables. But other than that, just eating outside, it's almost impossible to choose a good vegetarian choice.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really sad for you, Amanda, because you're going to South Africa.
I'm going there.
Sorry,
South Korea.
South Korea. Sorry, I just said South Africa because I have a South African friend who's going home today, so I just had South Africa on my mind. Sorry, I meant South Korea.
Nice. Almost the same. Almost the same.
Just the continent, literally. I feel so bad. So I meant South Korea for everyone listening.
Yes, that's what I'm actually looking forward the least, the food, because if it would have been years ago, I still remember that I was planning to go to Japan, which still hasn't happened because of COVID, but before I was vegetarian, I saw all these Japanese dishes and I was like, I want to try everything. But lots of things contain meats. And now that I'm vegetarian, I'm like, I'm not going for the food anymore. And the same with Korea. I am so looking forward to living there and studying there and exploring everything and the culture, but the food, oof. And I know it's a big thing in Korea to go out with friends or colleagues for dinner.
Yeah, huge drinking
really?
culture. Yeah.
Really, like after work, you would just go with your colleagues to have food or something, to a restaurant. Like, is that a big thing?
That's a big thing, especially Thursday, Friday night. Yeah.
Really? So you don't sort of like, you don't maybe hang out with your friends outside work, or you don't hang out with your family. You'd go with your colleagues after work.
Oh, we all do that, but just like 1 or 2 times a week with colleague, and on the weekend more family and friends time.
Really?
Yeah, it's very common to have a drink with your colleague.
That's really interesting, because we don't do that at all. Or not really.
Oh, not at all. Okay. Yeah, I think in the
No, not
Netherlands
really.
we're more
No.
individualistic as well. Like once work hours are done, we're like, bye, we're going home.
Literally everyone, literally here, everyone's like
Yes.
4 p.m. Everyone's like, bye guys, see you later. Everyone's off.
Right.
Yeah,
But
but
that's cool
Yeah.
because that's kind of, you've really got that community aspect of it, and that like social, you really get to bond with your colleagues, and obviously
That's
you see them
right.
for the majority of the day.
But I
These
think
are the
in-
people that you actually spend time with.
But I think it has two sides, because it's nice to bond with colleagues, but if you feel like it's forced, then maybe it's also not so nice.
right. Yeah, a
Do
lot of
they
people feel that.
maybe That's what I was going to ask. Like, do you get looked down on maybe if you say, "Oh, I don't really feel like going to this restaurant with you tonight," or something like after work? If you say that to your colleagues, like, do they just kind of give you the side eye?
That's the thing. If your boss asks you to go, they just have a drink with me, and then like something you have to go there, even if you don't want to. Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
there's kind of a bit of pressure.
A
with
bit
it
of
as well.
pressure, but things getting a little
And-
changed.
Is it true that you can only leave once your boss leaves?
That is true. I think. Well, I'm a freelancer teacher, so I don't really work in the company. But as I hear my friends saying how's like the atmosphere at work, so usually they finish at 6 or 7, right? But if their boss don't leave, they should stay. Just wait. The boss leaves. Yeah. So they would describe it that time as just like wasting of time, a wasting of their time, because they already finished their work. They're just waiting there until their boss leaves. So it's a very weird
do they
culture.
And do they get paid for like overtime hours?
Extra hours. It really depends of the company policies. But
Okay.
as far as I know, majority of the companies, they don't really get paid for overworking hours.
Okay,
Yeah.
so basically they have to stay until the boss leaves, and if the boss, I don't like, do they have like crazy working hours? So does that ever happen that maybe the boss doesn't leave until like 1 a.m. or something? Because I know, like, for example, I know in international law firms, even in Hungary, that happens a lot. That lawyers just pretty much basically sleep in the office.
Yeah.
Because they work crazy hours, and I know that's the same in other international law firms as well. So I don't know about South Korea, but
Yeah.
do they work like maybe crazy hours in some companies, and then
Yeah, some companies definitely do over 10 hours. I have some friends and they work around like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And then the next day they have to wake up like 5 or 6 and then go to work again. That's why I have there so many Americano, like iced coffee is really a thing in Korea, like having a lot of coffee to just stay awake at work so that they work late and then come again. Yeah. So that is why we describe people like Koreans are workaholic. They work so much, but it's something kind of they're forced to.
cultural.
Yeah. So things it's getting changed because people don't understand it's very bad for your work and life balance. Yeah.
So I guess Dutch dinner times are not really possible for Korean people. Because Dutch people eat, typical Dutch dinner time would be between 5 and 6 p.m.
Whoa, that's
I
that's
remember you
very
saying.
early.
I think you mentioned that in your first episode. I remember you saying that, and I'm just like, what? but that's crazy.
I think
That's
these
really
days
early.
people get a bit more flexible, and especially students, they just eat whenever they have the time. And for me as well, I've lived in Maastricht, and I got used to eating a bit later, but sometimes I eat at like 5:30, and sometimes I eat at 10. It really differs, but most often I eat between 6 and 7. Yeah.
okay.
That's still pretty early. So if you, for example, if you ate at like, let's say 5:30, would you then have a second dinner?
I think
Afterwards.
just a cookie with some coffee.
Like a little snack.
Yeah,
it was
like a little snack.
Okay, so you would just go for a snack. Okay, but not like a full-on meal.
No, not really. I do have a friend who likes to eat an extra meal, but
What is the
Yeah,
typical
no,
working hour in Netherlands? So like
In
9
the
to
Netherlands?
6 or 9 to
I think 9 to 5.
9 to
is
5.
Oh, it's 9 to 5, okay.
Yeah, I think, but it depends, of course, on your job, and sometimes if the workplace is a bit flexible, you can also choose to start a bit earlier and leave a bit earlier, or start a bit later and then leave a bit later.
Leave a bit later.
But it really depends on the company and what kind of job you have. But in general, 9 to 5 are the
9 to
typical
5.
work
Okay, so for example, like you growing up, did you used to have dinner quite early with your family?
Yeah, I think always around 6.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. That's so interesting.
I think I'll be so hungry at night around 10 and
I
11.
know that's why I asked. I think I would be absolutely starving. Like I would have to have another meal. I would just have to. Like I don't know.
What time do you eat dinner in Hungary?
I don't think there's a set meal time because we don't. So we eat hot lunch and then cold dinner. Usually, so we
That's
usually just
also
have
a
like
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, we eat hot lunch and then just a sandwich for dinner. So it doesn't really matter
We
that much.
switch it around.
We switch around
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I know. I don't actually know, like, France, England, like, all the countries that I've lived in, people just grab maybe except France. No, except France, sorry. Because in France, it's a big thing to have a hot meal. And to sit down, to have, like, an hour lunch break, really enjoy the food, really take your time. It's a big thing in France. But in England, I know in the Netherlands as well, you just grab a sandwich or something for lunch and then you have something more substantial in the evening, whereas we do it the other way around. So we go out for lunch and then we just have a sandwich in the evening.
So yeah, we are hungry at an early time already because we only had a sandwich for lunch. I think that's
So
why.
that's why.
Like for
That's why. It could
breakfast,
be
we
why.
eat. Like for breakfast, we eat some slices of bread, and then for lunch, we eat some slices of bread or a sandwich or something like that, and then for dinner, we eat warm. Yeah. What do you eat for
That's-
breakfast then?
Okay, so I mean, it can be. Look, I'm trying to think because it can be a variety of things. I think something that's very typically Hungarian breakfast, because obviously we eat the usual like cereal, sandwich, toast, you know, like the usual stuff. I think that most people maybe would eat for breakfast, but I think something that's very traditionally Hungarian is scrambled eggs. I know it's not. I mean, no scrambled eggs as such are not traditionally Hungarian. But we make it with sort of bacon or some sort of meat, again, sausage, onions, paprika. So the very, very typical Hungarian. That's like Hungarian.
Onions
we call
in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Well, you do. I mean, you brush your teeth. No, you do brush your teeth afterwards. You have to, because otherwise it just wouldn't work. But so we kind of make it a bit more substantial in the morning as well, and then we would just have something maybe like scrambled eggs with sausage, bacon, paprika, onions.
So what would you eat when you hang out with your friends? So like, do you usually meet your friends around the lunchtime or rather dinner time?
It depends. I think both can work, but if we say let's go for lunch, then we mean like a warm meal. So then we will go and have like soup main dish,
Okay.
or maybe like a kebab as well can work. But it has to be hot. Like we would never say like, oh, let's meet up for lunch and just have a sandwich. Like that just doesn't really happen.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, that would happen if you ask a Dutch person, let's go for lunch, then yeah, you go for sandwich.
I know in Maastricht actually I used to do that with my some of my friends from my tutorial group. Because we had a tutorial like right before lunchtime and then we would just go and have a sandwich. But I wouldn't do that in Hungary like ever.
Did it happen to you that you asked someone like, let's go for lunch, and then you expected a warm meal, but then you suddenly ended up eating a sandwich?
No, I don't. I don't think that's ever. No, I don't think that's ever happened to me,
Okay.
because I feel like in Hungary, like there are places where you can do that, as in where you can go and have a warm lunch. But in Maastricht, I mean, I didn't really see it. It's mostly like sandwich places, or
Yeah.
more like tortilla wraps or sandwich, or oh, what was that I used to love? Bagels. I used to have bagels a lot. So I don't think there's actually really like warm lunch per se.
Okay.
So
What
maybe
about
maybe
Korea?
that's why.
What do you normally eat for breakfast?
Breakfast is just like it's pretty much the same. Having some cereal.
Okay.
My grandparents or my parents' generation, they would have more like traditional Korean food, some soup, Korean soup, rice, some side dishes like such as kimchi. Yeah, the full meal in the morning.
You eat kimchi for breakfast?
Oh, it's a side dish, just like
Oh.
a piece, like a pickle.
That's so spicy.
Yeah. No, we don't
Okay,
even think that is spicy.
that's a casual breakfast.
That's a casual breakfast.
That's a casual breakfast. Casual breakfast.
Yeah.
Is there a certain flavor that is most popular in dishes in Hungary? Like, do you like spicy or sweet or salty food most?
So we also eat a lot of spicy food, I would say. Like for example, we've got something actually. When you said, Jiyong, that you, even if it's a bland soup, you would put something in it to make it spicy.
Right.
So we also have that, and it's called erős pista. Erős pista,
Okay.
which basically means that that's the brand name.
Okay.
But it's a brand name, but that's what we call the actual. It's kind of like a paste, I would say. It's a paste. It's a spicy paste that you can put it in gulyás, for example. It's very common, or I don't even know what, like even fish soup. You also would put erős pista in, and it actually translates to, so pista is a first name, a Hungarian male first name, and erős means strong. So it's basically like strong, like as if I was saying maybe strong Simon.
Okay.
Strong Simon. Oh, that's funny name.
Interesting.
Oh, so
And that's really spicy. So so we also put that in. Well, I don't, because I can't do spicy.
Yeah.
But people who can, I think we do eat quite spicy, and also quite salty actually.
Oh.
Very salty, I would say.
Yeah.
Very salty. Yeah.
I think in the Netherlands as well, I think more salty than spicy. I mean, there are some people who like spicy food, but if you compare it to South Korean level spicy, I think it's nothing.
It just doesn't quite cut it.
Yeah.
so you
So I
wouldn't
think
say it's
more-
sweet in the Netherlands, the foods are?
I think more salty and bland. But I think it really differs, because it's difficult to say, because if I think about the Dutch kitchen, like Dutch cuisine, then it's so difficult to say this is typically something Dutch. There are a few things, but we eat a lot of international dishes.
That's
So
what I
it
was going to
depends
say,
on
actually.
whether you're going to eat Italian or Chinese for dinner, or what kind of taste it's going to be. There are some typically Dutch dishes that I think most people have heard
Croquettes,
of.
for
Do you-
example. I don't know, croquettes. I don't know
Oh,
if that's
yeah,
what you do.
yeah,
Is that how you pronounce
croquettes.
them? Yeah.
Well, in Dutch we say
I love-
croquettes. So we
I
have a lot
can't.
of-
So I'm sorry. Like,
What kind of food is it?
I'm not even going to try because I don't want to butcher it for some
Yeah,
of
so
our Dutch
it's a
listeners.
meat snack. So we Dutch people, we love a good snack bar. We
You
eat.
do.
We
You
don't-
do.
Yes, we love to eat a lot of fries, and we often eat that together with a snack. So that could be a croquette, which is filled with beef meat. Or
They
you
also
get
do vegan options.
there are
Actually,
vegan
sorry
options.
to cut you off.
yes.
Sorry to cut you off. There's a really good
Definitely.
vegan one for anyone.
Yeah.
Actually, also from for anyone listening who's in Maastricht, or if you're ever in Maastricht. I don't know if I can say the place's name.
Yeah, sure.
Oh my god, but they do. Okay, it's the is it Charlemagne? I think it's Charlemagne. I don't know if that's how you pronounce
I am
it.
not sure.
It's at Onze Lieve Vrouwplein.
Onze Lieve Vrouwenplein. I see.
Yes, thank
Yes.
you for the actual pronunciation. So it's there. It's Charlemagne, and they do amazing vegan croquettes. So if anyone's
Okay.
after some vegan croquettes, go to Charlemagne in Maastricht.
I just
So yeah, that's
realized
one of
something.
the snacks. But what did you realize?
So Japan has called koroke, which sounds
yes, but
exactly
that's filled with potato, right?
no, with a lot of different things, with some meat.
Oh,
it could be
okay.
anything. I think they originate from the croquette. You said, maybe.
Could be, yes, because Japan and the Netherlands, they have a really close bond,
Right.
based on history, of course. So, yeah, I know also they have Dutch beer.
Yeah.
So maybe also some other things. But another very famous snack in the Netherlands is frikandel. There is no translation
that?
because there is no translation. It doesn't exist, I think,
Just
in
because
other
there is-
countries. Maybe it does exist in like Belgium, maybe even France, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
What is it?
What
But,
country is it? Because
yeah.
I actually I've never heard of it.
Everyone wonders what it is.
Is it hard to
Like,
describe?
It's
No one knows.
no one
It's
knows
a secret
exactly.
dish. It's a secret
like,
dish. No one knows what it is.
It's a very long. It looks a bit like a long sausage, but it's filled with. Sometimes there is also a lot of people. They don't want to eat it because it also contains horse meat. So I looked it up. What is actually
sorry,
in
what?
it? Yes.
Horse meat.
Horse meat.
Horse meat.
So, yes. So I looked it up, and it says
Okay.
there is chicken in there that has like the leftovers that were left on the carcass of the chicken. There is
Is
pork
it the
in
insides
there,
of the chicken?
and I'm not sure. Like no one knows exactly. It's like you don't really want to know what you eat.
You
Like,
don't really
chicken,
want to know. That's what I was
pork,
going to say.
and
Probably you don't
horse
want to know.
combined, and then there's like some other stuff I don't know in there.
Don't
like,
worry, guys.
Okay.
We Korean
don't
eat
know,
intestines. A lot.
Yeah, I've
You
seen a
eat
lot of dishes in Korea that I'm like, how do you eat that? But
Yeah.
Well,
You're right.
but
You
the
heard
thing
it
is,
right.
Okay, let's.
Yeah.
Okay, Jiyoung, I can you please hit me with like maybe not the weirdest, but maybe what would be weird for someone not familiar with the culture, like a type when, for example, when Amanda said like the kinds of food that you would just be like, what is
you were
this and
trying
how
to
do you eat
pronounce
that?
frikandel.
So you want me to teach like the surprising one, right?
Yeah, something that you would think that maybe people who are not South Korean would just be like, okay.
So intestines is one of it. They could be pork intestines, beef intestines. As one of it, definitely. And also we've got, it's like a snack thing. Don't be surprised. We eat silkworms.
You eat what?
Silkworm? Worm? Am I pronouncing
yeah,
right?
you know
The bug.
Worms.
Worms.
I'm just
No,
like
is it worms?
I
Yeah.
hear you, but I'm like, is that really what you
You don't want to. You don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I think we boil it and season with something. I don't know how we make them, but it's a very.
And it's a snack.
It's a snack.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? I don't think it's sweet. Is it? It's not sweet. It's more of a.
It's salty.
Savory snack.
Savory snack.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not crunchy. It's boiled, so it's still a bit watery, and then you use your pork and eat just like one of it each. It's just like a snack. But I don't eat it anymore. I used to eat when I was little when I didn't know what it was. But now I see it as a little bit gross to actually pick it and eat it. So I don't eat it anymore. But I remember the taste was incredible, and then it has a lot of protein. So it's actually good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
I've
don't want to
also
try.
seen like in Korea you also eat the chicken feet, right?
Oh, chicken feet. Yeah, chicken feet is actually a very common food in Asia, like Vietnam, China, Korea. I'm not sure in Japan. Yeah, but Korean version. Yeah.
And how would you eat that? Because we also eat chicken feet, but
Oh,
we
yeah?
just sort of eat like, yeah, we do, and also intestines as well. We do. I don't personally, but I know a lot of people do. And chicken feet as well. I know my mum loves it, but it's just that you eat the skin and the meat off the bone. Like that's the way you eat it. I don't know how you would eat it in at home.
Yeah, we do that too. That's one way to eat. Or we just take it and rip the skin.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, it's quite similar, I think.
Oh.
It's quite similar to the way we do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a thing in the Netherlands.
They'll be like this and like, yeah.
I'm just sitting here listening in shock.
It's not just chicken feet. We have the pork trotter.
Okay, yeah, we also have
that's
that.
cool.
And we also beef tongue.
Pork
tongue.
Yeah. Oh, I never heard pork tongue. Oh.
Pork and beef tongue, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so I don't personally eat any of these things because I don't know, like I personally don't like them, but I know a lot of Hungarians do.
Oh, I see. Oh.
Like my grandma, for example, like we would just go to the supermarket and she would just get beef tongue, just as a sort of ham.
Yeah.
To put on a sandwich.
Okay, that's interesting.
What about hangover food? What do you guys eat for hangover?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so for hangover, our absolute go-to has to be chicken meat soup. Chicken meat soup with noodles and carrots. And it's great. It's really good for hangover. It cures your hangover basically immediately. So I think that would be our absolute go-to.
Something hot
for a hangover.
that
What about
Yes,
exactly. But it has to be chicken meat soup.
Oh.
So it's very specific. Yeah, has to be chicken meat soup. With noodles and with the vegetables and sort of the meat. And it's really good for a hangover. So what about you guys?
What about Amanda?
What about you?
trying
Like,
to
what would you?
think.
Amanda. Yeah, what would you?
The thing is, I've never had a hangover. So I'm actually not sure because this is not something I've looked up, or I mean I can guess maybe also something like chicken soup or something, but that's more, I know that people eat chicken soup when they are ill, but I don't know about hangovers. Honestly, I have to say I don't know.
Because like I wanted to ask because I know like I heard American people have like heavy burger or like very cheesy something.
Oh, very okay,
yeah.
That's interesting.
And
I know in England. Oh, sorry.
I was going to ask you the England. What do they eat in England?
Yeah, I was just going to say that in England I know kebab was the go-to, like after going out, after clubbing, sort of at 5 a.m. in the morning, hangover.
Oh yeah, what we do have,
kind of slightly drunk kebab.
What we do have in the Netherlands, and maybe that could be one of these hangover dishes, but people also like to eat this in general. We call it kapsalon, which is in Dutch the exact same a word for like a hairdresser. But it is basically, a kapsalon is basically fries with shawarma like the meats,
Oh.
and some like tomato, cucumber, garlic sauce, and cheese, and I think that's it. I've actually never had it, but it's very, very famous in the Netherlands, and a lot of people like to eat it. Like I said, we love a good snack, like fries with a snack. Yeah, we go to the snack bar
So
a lot.
what was it? What was it again? Can you repeat it, please?
The
Because I want
kapsalon,
to-
yeah. So
what's
it's
that?
like
Kapsalon,
fries.
Okay, kapsalon.
Yeah, fries with shawarma,
Okay, fries
and
like
then
loaded
garlic
fries.
sauce and some
Ah.
like
That actually sounds good.
yeah.
It sounds
And
really,
also,
it sounds
what a
really
lot of people
good.
like to eat is a frikandel special, which is what I explained, like the unknown meats. But
But it's
actually, you
taken
don't
up
see
a
it.
notch.
It looks normal, and a lot of people really like to eat this. I used to eat this a lot. It was one of my favorite snacks. But then a special is also with like sauce and onions on top of it. Yeah. Yeah. And another famous snack is, I think, what would you call that in English? Like a cheese souffle. It's like yeah, like a pastry filled with like cheese, but also from the how do you say that? I don't really know how to explain that in English. But it's
So
just like a cheese
That's also
snack.
for hangover?
I don't know, but
Oh.
I think maybe
That's
people
just
like
snack.
yeah, just snack. But
Just
I mean,
snack.
Orsi was talking about like having like kebab or something after
Yeah.
going out.
Yeah,
So this is what
after
I
a
thought
night
of,
out,
like
but
the
that was very
kapsalon.
English. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very English
Yeah.
to go for a kebab after a night
So
out.
I think maybe kapsalon would also be something like that. Yeah.
That really fills you. Yeah, because you get
Yeah.
hungry after drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe it's good also for a hangover. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe if-
What about Korea?
It's just another hot soup. And then, as I said, Korea has a big drinking culture. We even have this soup called hangover soup.
Nice.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so it's specifically designed for
For hangover.
hangovers. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
even if
something
you don't
else.
have it, you can eat it. Yeah.
Something else I was wondering, because I know that in Korea, alcohol is not very expensive. It's actually kind of cheap.
It's very cheap.
But what about Hungary? Is alcohol very expensive, or is it cheap, or are there certain other things in the supermarket that are very expensive, like fruit or vegetables? Yeah, just wondering. What is
Okay, so for alcohol, so I'm going to start with alcohol because that's that's quite easy because we do also have quite a big drinking culture. I would say. Quite yeah. Actually, I would even go as far as to say it's a bit of an issue.
Okay.
I think culturally, just in sort of at the national level, I think we've got issues definitely. Sort of.
So it's quite
There-
affordable.
I don't really. Yeah, so it's very affordable. Obviously, very low quality as well. So, for example, wine. We've got something that we call. I don't think it translates really, but it's just very very cheap wine. So I think we call it sort of wine in tablets. Like sort of like a pill, like a tablet, because it's just so like it's kind of like it dissolves. It's sort of, even if as if it was like a tablet that you would maybe I don't know, chuck in water and then it would dissolve, and that's wine. Like that's
Interesting.
how bad the quality is. It's kind of just the nickname for it, but it's really bad low quality wine, and it's quite affordable, I would say. Yes, we also do have quite like high range as well wines. But in general, yeah, I would say it's quite affordable. Also, beer, we've got low quality beer that's very affordable. So I would say yes in general. And also we have, if we're talking about alcohol, I can't not mention palinka, which is our traditional alcohol. So palinka is a shot, as in it's a spirit.
Okay.
And we take it in shots, and so it's shot glasses. It's really strong. It's very strong. and I don't know the exact percentage, but maybe it's, I don't know if I say 40. Is that a lot? I don't know if that's possible, but it's really strong. And it's very traditional, very Hungarian. Like before, in some households, even before every single like Sunday meal or weekend meal, they would have a shot of palinka.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's kind of like an appetizer. Like it gives you good appetite. And also if you go to like a wedding or any kind of family gathering, any kind of family do, you always start with a shot of palinka, a round of palinka. Everyone just takes a shot. Yeah, it's just in general, like that's a big thing to have palinka.
What kind of taste does it have?
I would probably, it's most similar to vodka, I think.
Okay.
I think it's most similar to vodka. So it's also transparent. Yeah, I think it's most similar to vodka, but it's very strong. And you get different flavors. So vodka, I think vodka is usually unflavored. I don't think it's
I don't
got
think it's
any,
flavored.
specific flavors.
No.
I don't think it's flavored. But palinka, it's flavored, so you get apricot, you get plum, you get all sorts basically. But I think plum and apricot are the most common ones.
I want to try.
Oh yeah, I want to try too.
Okay, if you ever come to Hungary, we will try palinka.
I'll take you up on that.
Plum and apricot.
We'll take a shot of palinka. It's also it's a welcome drink as well, basically. So we'll do that.
It's gonna be
When
fun.
you land at the airport, I'll be like standing there waiting for you, the bottle of
Waiting with the shots in hands.
Cheers. Exactly.
Nice.
Oh, I
So
love that.
yeah, I learned a lot about Hungarian foods, traditions, as well as Korean today.
Yeah, it was really fun to
So
talk about
have I.
food.
It's been so much fun. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on.
Thank
you
you
so
for
much
joining
being
us.
a guest
Yeah.
on our podcast, our very first guest. I hope our listeners
I'm
learned
honored.
something new as well. I'm sure they have.
I'm sure
And
our
then,
listeners will love this conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much again for joining us. And then next episode, we will hopefully have another guest, which you will find out next time.
Yeah.
If you have
And-
any comments, questions, or if you want to tell us about your own national cuisine and your own favorite dish from your own country, let us know in the comments on our social media or on YouTube. Just send us a message, and
Yes, please.
we hope to see you again next time.
Yeah. Please join us again, Orsi, next time.
Yeah, for another
Yeah, I
episode
will-
maybe.
Yes, please. I would love to do that. So if you guys would like to have me on again, I would be very up for it. So
Of course.
I would be really, really happy to come on again because it's
be
been just so
lovely.
much fun. And thank you also very much to all our listeners and watchers on YouTube. And I hope people all enjoyed this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Wow,
it's been-
or she
it's been
closed
really-
it off
it's been-
perfectly. Thank you so
Sorry,
much.
guys.
She's just talented with this.
Yeah. Okay, then
Yeah.
I guess enjoy your lunch, dinner, or breakfast, whatever you're eating right now or
Yeah.
going to eat, and see you next episode.
See you next
Bye.
episode.
Bye.